The eternal throne of the Zarkith Empire for 10,000 years. The Zarkith Empire ruled the galaxy, their flag flew over 1,000,000 worlds. Their laws were strict, their armies were strong. No one questioned their power, no one dared to fight them. Every empire that stood against them had fallen. Every voice that rose in rebellion was silenced. The galaxy had only one ruler, the eternal throne of the Zark ETH. In the heart of the galaxy, there was a planet called Kravalorn, the capital world. It was not a beautiful place, it was cold, gray, and full of shadows, but it was powerful. Tall black towers touched the sky, and glowing red banners of the Zarkith hung from every building. Giant war machines moved through the city like guards, always watching. Inside the great hall of the throne, the High Emperor Zolovic sat on his black iron seat. His body was old, but his eyes were sharp and cruel. Around him stood his advisors, generals, priests, and scientists, all loyal, all afraid. Behind the throne, massive screens showed images of war zones, new colonies, and maps of stars. Everything was under control. Until today, a soft sound broke the silence in the room. Ping, a signal. Weak, unfamiliar. A technician looked at the screen and frowned. High Emperor, we have detected a transmission. Unknown origin, unknown language. He said. Xal single quotes VEK raised one eye. Another rebel group, or scavenger noise. The technician shook his head. It's not from any known species, my lord, it's ancient. That word made the room quiet. Ancient, in the Zarkith language. It meant something older than records. Something forgotten, something dangerous. Play it, the Emperor ordered. The sound played. It was broken, static-filled, but parts were clear. This is the Aegis 1 human vessel. Responding to signal. Earth is silence, memory remains. The room went cold. Every advisor stared. The word human had not been spoken in 1,000 years. Impossible, whispered General Varnek. Humans were wiped out. They vanished during the Great Silence. There are no humans left. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Archive this. Send a scout probe to the source. I want full analysis. Today's Latterth probe reached the source. It entered a dark area of space, full of dust and broken stars. Then, without warning, the probe went dark. No signal, no data. It was gone. Send another, the Emperor ordered. They did. That one disappeared. Panic began to spread in whispers. Perhaps it's a black hole, one scientist said, or a cloaked enemy, said another. But one voice in the shadows said something else. It's them. Everyone turned. The voice came from Archivist Teller, an old historian with tired eyes. The humans. Teller said again, I've seen this before, in the old texts. Before the Empire erased their history, the Emperor glared at him. Explain. Teller stepped forward slowly. 10,000 years ago, humans ruled small parts of the galaxy. But they were not like others. They were fast, creative, wild. They built things no one understood. Then, they vanished. Their worlds turned silent. No war, no sign, only silence. Zolovic spoke, voice sharp. And you believe they have returned? I don't believe it, Teller said. I fear it. The Council of Power, a high-level meeting was called. All the top minds of the Empire sat around a black circular table. Holograms of the unknown signal played in the center. This is a threat, said Admiral Kor. We must destroy it. With what? Asked Priest Kurlin. We don't know what it is, or where it came from. We are the Zarkith, the Emperor shouted. We do not fear myths, but behind his words, fear was growing. He remembered the stories from his youth, hidden tales about humans. Creatures who turned suns into weapons, beings who could fight AI gods. Rumors said even death could not stop them. Suddenly, another signal came through. A single ship, large, cold, silent. It entered Zarkith space. No response to hails. No ID, just one name painted on its side in fading white letters, Aegis 1. The approach ship moved slowly but surely toward the center of the Empire. Every fleet sent to intercept it vanished. No explosion, no sound, just silence. The Empire's sensors could not scan it. Their weapons had no effect. It was like shooting shadows. Reports came in from nearby systems. Entire stations lost contact. Planets went dark for minutes. Some satellites recorded flashes of light, then nothing. Inside the throne room, the Emperor paced. What do we know? He demanded. Nothing, my lord, said the tech officer. It's like the laws of physics do not apply around the ship. Are we being invaded? Asked the general. No, Teller said softly. We're being watched. The message human ship finally sent one clear message. This is not a war. This is not revenge. This is a reminder. The message repeated over and over. The Empire froze. Why now? Why return after 10,000 years? What did the humans want? The Emperor did not know. No one did, but fear had returned to the galaxy. The eternal throne, once untouchable, had just heard the voice of a ghost called human. Asters, the ship without a nation. The ship had no flag, no symbols, no escort. It moved through space. Like it had no fear, like it belonged everywhere. Slowly, silently, it entered deeper into the Zarkith Empire. They had maps of every star, every moon, every dark corner. But this ship came from beyond all of it. It was not in any record. It had no heat signature, no energy waves, and it didn't follow gravity like normal vessels. Even their best scanners couldn't track it for more than a few seconds. In the control room of the Imperial Defense Station Varnak 7, Commander Hrel sat up straight. His crew watched the monitors closely. The ship had just passed the outer defense line. Try hailing it again, Hrel ordered. They did. No answer. The silence was the same as before, cold, empty, but heavy. Like it was listening, but didn't care. This ship is ignoring protocol, said the comms officer. Then treat it like a threat, Hrel replied. 3 Imperial warships moved to block its path. The largest one, Vrakshan, fired a warning shot, a bright red beam that passed across the ship's path. The ship didn't slow down. Then Vrakshan fired directly at it. For a brief second, the room glowed red. Everyone leaned forward, but the shot disappeared mid-space. No explosion, no shield impact. It was like the beam had been swallowed by nothing. Then, in the next second, the warship vanished from the screen. Where is the Vrakshan? Commander Hrel shouted. No idea, sir. It's not destroyed, it's just gone. The other 2 ships panicked. They tried to retreat, but they didn't get far. Both blinked out. No trace, no signal. All that was left was the silence. Commander Hrel gave the emergency code. Fall back, full alert. Unknown hostile is approaching Central Systems. In the capital, the Emperor was told immediately. 3 full warships vanished, he repeated, eyes narrowing. 1 ship did this, General. Varnak nodded slowly. It is not attacking. But if we move against it, it removes us, without effort. Perhaps it's automated, said the tech minister, an old weapon from the human era. Then why now? The Emperor growled. Why return after so long? Archivist Teller stepped forward again. There's something you must see. My lord, he said. Something buried in the forbidden archives. They entered a locked chamber beneath the palace. Dust floated in the air. Rows of old machines and broken books stood in silence. 1 file was pulled from the deepest layer. It was labeled black. Code Earth Origin. TELAR placed the file on the table. It showed a map, a star system marked Sol. The file included fragments of language and something else, warnings if humanity ever returns. The file read, do not engage. Do not provoke, do not threaten, run. The Emperor clenched his fist. Cowardice, he spat. Fear of a dead race. Teller shook his head. It's not fear, it's memory. The mysterious ship continued its path. It passed near the planet Corvallis Prime, where a science base orbited a gas giant. The researchers watched in awe as the ship came close. Dr. Ilna, one of the lead scientists, spoke quietly. It's beautiful, she whispered. The ship was silver gray, shaped like an arrowhead, but smooth. It had no engines that could be seen, no windows, no weapons. It just floated with purpose. Suddenly, their instruments failed. Every screen turned black, lights went out, gravity shifted. It was as if the laws of physics themselves bent around the ship. Then nothing. No attack, no destruction, just silence. After a minute, everything came back. The ship was gone, on another world. A religious order watched the ship's path and said prayers in fear. The High Prophet stood before the people and said, this is the ghost from before the Empire. The one who left when the stars were young. We called the myth, but they are truth. Are we being punished? Someone asked. No, the prophet said, we are being warned. Across the Empire, panic began to grow. Ships refused to patrol near the path of the unknown visitor. Civilian freighters changed routes. Small colonies shut down communication. Even the Empire's AI systems began giving error messages whenever the ship was mentioned. One AI, called Center 9, broke its own logic loop. It simply said, classification, human, threat level, beyond scale, suggestion, evacuation. The Emperor was furious. I will not let fear control my empire. But even he knew this was no ordinary threat. He called a secret meeting. We must capture this ship, he said. No, Teller warned, you must not. The generals agreed with the Emperor. If we do nothing, it will reach our core systems. What if it doesn't want to attack? Teller said. What if it's here for something else? The room was silent. Then the Emperor asked, what does it want? Finally, a message came. Not from the ship but from one of the few surviving probes that had scanned it. A voice, calm, human. This vessel is Aegis 1. I am its pilot. I do not seek war. I carry the weight of memory. I seek justice. The voice paused. You have forgotten too much. It is time to remember. Then silence. The Zarkith Empire was no longer certain of its power. One ship, one voice. One old name from a dead past. But it was not dead. It was returning, and it remembered everything. The day stars fell silent in the deep black of space, the Empire prepared its greatest defense. No outsider had ever reached this close before. Not even the old wars had seen such power gathered in one place. The Imperial War Council gave the final order: activate Operation Eternal Storm. Every major battle fleet across the Zarkith Empire was called in. Over 200 war fleets, 30 dreadnought-class ships, and 28 weaponized moons took position around a star system called Zenith Core, a strategic defense point. Just 6 jumps from the capital world, this place would become the wall. This place would stop the unknown ship. High General Varnik stood aboard the largest dreadnought, Black Spine Ascendant. It was 3 miles long, full of rail cannons, plasma shields, and AI targeting that could track a comet from 2 systems away. It had crushed rebellions. It had destroyed fleets. It was the pride of the Empire. Now it was just one piece in a giant machine built to stop a single ship. The ship came. It did not hide. It did not rush. It moved in silence, as always. No signal, no weapons raised, just slow, steady movement. Fleet Commander Jareen watched from her command deck. She had seen war. She had seen ships explode. She had seen black holes eat cruisers whole. But this was something else. The unknown ship moved through the defense lines like a ghost. No heat, no shadow. It did not even register as mass. On some scans, still, they followed orders. All units fire on my command, Varnik said. The order was given. 100,000 weapons lit up the void: beams, missiles, nuclear rounds, energy webs, everything. It was like a storm of fire and death, all aimed at one target. The space around the human ship turned white with light. And then in nothing, the firestorm faded. The screens cleared. The ship was still there. No damage, not even a scratch. Some officers thought the weapons had missed, but data said otherwise. Every shot had hit, and every shot had disappeared on contact, like a drop of water falling into deep, endless darkness. Varnik stared at the screen. His voice shook. This is not possible. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. Not just on one ship, on all of them. Then communications failed, all across the war fleet. Crews tried to speak to each other, but no one could hear. Systems went silent. Then, the stars dimmed, the weaponized moons lost power. Artificial suns around mining colonies flickered and died. Engines shut down. Shields dropped. It was like the galaxy had stopped breathing. One by one, the ships began to vanish. They didn't explode. They didn't break apart. They just blinked out of existence. The Black Spine Ascendant was the last to go. As it faded, Varnik looked at the screen. The human ship was still there. It had not fired a single weapon. Back in the Imperial capital, panic was everywhere. The Emperor stood in his war chamber, watching as red dots on the map vanished, one after another. What is happening? He shouted. A tech officer was crying. We don't know, sire. They're just gone. Archivist Teller whispered. The stars are falling silent. Then the ship spoke. A message was sent to every device in the Empire, every screen, every radio, every mind-linked comm. Even the oldest machines received it. The voice was calm, male, human. You built an empire without mercy. You erased history that wasn't yours. You called yourselves gods. A pause. I am not here for war. I am here for balance. Another pause. I will not destroy your worlds. I will not harm your people, but your throne is broken. Your weapons are dust. Your time is over. Then silence. On distant planets, people wept. Not from fear, but from something else, something they had not felt in generations: hope. The Empire had ruled through fear, not love, for years. People had followed orders because they were afraid. Now that fear was fading. In its place was something stronger: curiosity, wonder, possibility. Aboard the strange ship, the pilot sat alone. He wore no crown. He had no army. Just a quiet face, tired eyes, a voice from a forgotten world. The ship's AI, Athena, spoke to him gently. Target de-escalation complete. All threats neutralized. He nodded. No casualties, he asked. 0, Athena replied. He looked at the stars in front of him. They were quiet now, watching him. I don't want them to fear me, he said. Athena answered softly. They don't fear you. They remember. At the edge of the galaxy, a message spread. It moved through traders, smugglers, scholars, and rebels. They said the Empire's fleets had vanished. They said a ship with no name had passed through untouched. They said a human had returned, not to conquer, not to kill, but to remind the galaxy what it had forgotten. And now, everything was about to change. Memories of Earth burned brighter than suns. The Empire was silent now. Their fleets had vanished. Their weapons were useless. Their pride was cracked. But no fire fell from the sky. No worlds exploded. The mysterious ship simply stopped and waited. It floated just outside the capital system, not moving, not threatening, like a shadow that had finished its message. And then, for the first time, the ship spoke again. But this time, it spoke to only one person, Archivist Telar. Inside his study, Teller heard a strange chime, not from any device he owned. It came from his desk, an old metal plaque from a forgotten archive. It glowed softly. A voice spoke inside his mind. Teller, do not be afraid. He stood still, barely breathing. Who are you? He whispered. I am the pilot of Aegis 1. The voice said, and I have read your history. Teller swallowed. You're human, yes. You should not exist, Teller said. We thought you vanished long ago. The voice was calm. We did vanish, but not by choice. Meanwhile, inside the capital palace, alarms stayed silent. No one moved. The emperor no longer gave orders. His eyes were sunken. He had not slept. He kept asking one question to himself. Why didn't it kill us? But there was no answer. He was not used to mercy. Inside the ship, the human pilot sat before a small blue screen. On it played a video, grainy, full of static. Children playing in a green field, the sound of laughter. The sky above was blue. The sun was bright. Athena, he said softly, play the next one. Another clip played. A city at night, people dancing in the streets, fireworks above. Location, Earth, said the AI. Timestamp, 9,984 years ago. The pilot closed his eyes. I still remember the air, he said. I remember how it smelled after rain. Athena's voice turned gentle. Would you like to review the last memory? He nodded. The screen showed a burning space station. Human voices screaming, red lights flashing. The words last outpost, Sector 9 blinking on screen. A small voice in the chaos, a child's voice, said, are we the last? Then the feed ended. Silence returned back on the capital world. Teller stood in front of the emperor. He contacted me, Teller said. The emperor raised his head slowly. What does it want? He wants us to remember. What? The emperor snapped. Earth, Teller said. Humanity. What came before? The emperor leaned back. Why should we care about a dead world? But Teller's eyes were bright. Because it's not dead. The voice came again, this time not through machines but through space itself. It filled the minds of every living being in the system. Gentle, calm, human. I am not your enemy. I am a story you tried to erase. I am from Earth. The words echoed across the stars. Before the empires, before the silence, we walked under suns and dreamed of peace. We built ships to explore, not to conquer. We reached out to share, not to rule, but we were silenced and forgotten. The message continued. You erased our name, you took our stars, you called yourselves gods, but I remember the laughter, the gardens, the songs. You cannot erase memory if it lives inside one. And then, for the first time, the pilot showed his face. Asterisk, a hologram appeared in the sky above every major city. A human stood tall, gray uniform, no rank. No medals, just a simple name tag, Aaron. He looked tired, but kind. His eyes were full of pain but also full of strength. I am Aaron, he said. I was born before your empire existed. I slept through your rise. I was programmed to wake only if the galaxy forgot us completely. He paused. I am awake now. People across the galaxy stopped. Even children, who had never seen a human before, stood still and listened. In factories, on farms, in ships, in prisons, everyone stared at the sky. I am not here to punish, Aaron said. I am here to offer a choice. You can continue your path, rule through fear, build walls, rewrite truth, or you can open the archive. Teller knew what that meant. Asterisk, the archive. It was a secret vault buried beneath the empire. Inside it was the full, unedited history of the galaxy before the Zarkith took over. Before they burned the books. Before they destroyed Earth's records. Back in the palace, the emperor screamed, shut him down, blocked the signal, but no one moved. The guards stared at the hologram. The officers had tears in their eyes. Even the AI systems refused to follow the command. The empire was breaking, not with weapons, with truth. Aaron's voice continued. If you wish to see who we were, open the archive. If you wish to speak, I will listen. If you wish to fight, he paused, I will not stop you. But know this, I will not fight back with hate. I will fight back with memory. Then the signal faded. In the darkness, the pilot sat in silence. Athena spoke. The emperor will never agree. Aaron nodded. That's not who I'm waiting for, Athena asked. Then who? He looked out the window, stars reflected in his eyes. Everyone else. Asterisk, the fall of gods. The rise of a man. The empire did not fall in fire. It fell in silence. And when it happened, it felt almost peaceful for days. The mysterious human ship stayed still like a statue in the dark. It did not attack. It did not move. It simply waited. Inside it, Aaron sat quietly. He had no army, he had no fleet. He had only time. And the galaxy was finally listening. The High Emperor Zalovic was losing control. Not of his weapons, they were already useless. Not of his fleets, they were already gone. But of his people, whispers had spread. And then the whispers turned into movement. On outer planets, the Empire's statues were pulled down. On factory worlds, workers turned off their machines. Across colonies, people gathered in silence, staring up at the same message that had changed. Everything. Aaron's words still echoed in their minds. You erased our name, but memory lives. Inside the Imperial Palace, the Emperor stood before a gathering of his last loyal council. He must be destroyed, he hissed. But how? Asked the remaining general. Nothing works, nothing touches him. Then build a bomb. The Emperor barked. Send it to him with a false message. Archivist Teller stepped forward. His voice was calm. If you do this, it will be the final mistake. The Emperor laughed bitterly. I rule a galaxy. He is just one man, Teller replied, and yet. Here we are. The room fell silent. That same night, something strange happened. A door sealed for 10,000 years opened beneath the capital. The archive. People who had never questioned anything before now wanted to see the truth, and the truth waited in dark stone halls below the ground. Inside. They found records, videos, songs, stories, of humans, of laughter, of kindness, of rebellion against tyranny. Children sat in circles, listening to Earth poems. Elders wept as they saw what had been stolen from history. No one told them to rebel. They just remembered what it meant to feel human again, even if they had never been one. A message came from the ship. This time, it was not sent through screens or words. It came as light. A single beam from the ship touched the dead soil of a nearby moon. And something impossible happened. Grass grew. In moments, green covered the barren stone. Trees rose from dry dust. A small blue river appeared where there was nothing before. It was Earth. Not the real one, but a memory of it. Aaron watched from his seat. Athena, the ship's AI, spoke gently. Reconstruction complete. He nodded. Let them see what we were. Across the galaxy, people stared at the moon. They called it the Garden of Memory. The Emperor gave one last order. Fire the solar cannon, he growled. Destroy that moon, send a message. His guards did not move. He looked at them with rage. I am your emperor. No, one of them said. You were. And so, the palace gates opened. Not with violence. But with footsteps. People walked through them quietly, slowly, not to take power, but to release it. And when they reached the throne, they found it empty. Zolovic was gone. Aaron did not celebrate. He did not cheer. He simply turned to Athena and said, prepare the final message. A new signal was sent. It reached every world, every ship, every being. Aaron's voice spoke clearly. I am leaving. I was never meant to rule, only to remind. I will sleep again. And if I am ever needed, I will return. The message ended. The ship turned. It moved slowly toward the edge of known space. And then, like a star that blinked once it was gone. Decades passed. The Empire became history. The moon garden grew wild, full of new life. People spoke of Earth not as a lost place, but as a lesson. Schools taught its language. Artists painted its skies. Builders used its ideas. And once a year, on the anniversary of the silence, the galaxy stood still. No war. No orders, just memory. Some say Aaron still watches. From the edge of time. Waiting. Listening. But he left behind more than power. He left a question, a simple one. What kind of galaxy do we want to be?